Our friend Ken Decostner is here from the Sheriff's Office and Crime Stoppers. How are you?
Riley, I'm doing great. I have one question for you.
Okay.
Who would you rather have the Cubs play, the New York Mets or the San Francisco Giants?
I'm going to go with the Mets. Couple of reasons. Payback for last year's sweep would be great. Secondly, their pitching isn't what it was. And Syndergaard, is that really who all we're leaning on at this particular point or close to it? San Francisco's been there a couple of times. They've got a fine manager. They know what it's like to play in the big stage and all. I'd rather see a matchup with the Mets.
I agree. I think the Giants would be the tougher opponent. You mentioned their experience. San Francisco won the World Series in 2010, 2012, 2014.
Yeah.
They had a poor second half, but they got it together right at the end. The Giants did. The Mets are banged up.
Yep. They don't have Dale Murphy anymore.
Right, their pitching staff is depleted, so I would think the Mets would be the easier opponent for the Cubs. But
anything can happen at this point.
Anything can happen, but I think most rational baseball fans think the Cubs are clearly the best team in baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, the evidence is overwhelming.
It is.
But when you get to the playoffs in a short series, somebody can get hot, somebody can get cold, so you never know.
And the other thing is, being that we're lifelong Cub fans, as you and I are, and for us that means several decades of being Cubs fans, we always know that there's a way that the bottom can fall out of things. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not going to approach all of it thinking, all right, I'm waiting for the wheels to come off. But at the same time, I also know it's a distinct possibility. I'm just praying that it is going to happen this time through.
Game 1, Friday night.
Yeah.
Game 2, Saturday night.
Yes, I like the fact that it's an 8 o'clock start on Friday.
And like 7 o'clock on Saturday.
Not worried about, oh man, I got to go to bed because we got to get up and do the no. Although I will admit, if it's a weeknight, I'm coming in here tired the next day.
Right.
I'm just not going to go, oh, well, 5th inning. Got to call it a night, everybody.
No. It's an exciting time of the year.
Yeah. An extra nap or two might be a good way to get yourself through all of this, especially if you do have a morning schedule.
Right.
But we're here for you with coffee. I set this story aside because it's on the lighter side before we get to the stuff off the police blotter with you. A man in Seattle, Washington, arrested after attempting to claim a misplaced briefcase full of cocaine. According to the Seattle Police Department blotter, a man brought the briefcase to Officer Doug Jorgensen, saying another man left the briefcase behind after walking his dog. Well, Officer Jorgensen opened up the briefcase in hopes of identifying the owner and found 4 large bags and 27 small bags full of cocaine.
Wow.
In addition, the briefcase contained a scale, 50 diazepam pills, I don't know what those are, and a small amount of weed, as well as the 19-year-old man's ID card and cell phone. The 19-year-old later approached officers outside of a Seattle Seahawks game and inquired about a missing briefcase. It contained some really important paperwork, and he really needed it back, according to officers. Police said the man was then arrested for possession of narcotics with intent to distribute. Mm-hmm. He won't be getting the briefcase back, Ken.
No, Riley. A young entrepreneur's dreams
up in smoke.
Up in smoke.
Once again, thanks to the cops cracking down on him. Hey, listen, man, I got this briefcase full of paperwork.
Paperwork.
You know, the cops looked at one another and went, yeah. Oh, it's right over here.
Yes.
We have it in the car.
What type of paperwork, young man?
Yeah. I don't know. It's written in Colombia. What? I'll get in the car. Thanks, man. So anyway, Little Leaguers, once it's gone, don't ask the cops about it, especially if it's a briefcase full of cocaine.
Sure.
Or blues, for that matter. What have you brought with you today?
Well, it's been an eventful few days since you and I last talked, Riley. Last Friday evening at CherryVale Mall, a report of shots fired. That
went like wildfire on social media.
Social media, that was crazy the way that spread. About 5:15 p.m. this past Friday, Cherry Valley Police releasing new information after a shooting at CherryVale Mall Friday evening. And I should tell you, I'm reading from a story on WIFR.com. Police say they're now looking for the following suspects, all believed to be between the ages of 16 and 22 years old. Black man, heavy set with a bald head, wearing gold chains around his neck, wearing a black and white bandana at the time, white T-shirt, and armed with a black handgun. An Hispanic man with a shaved head and a mullet may have been the shooter. A white, heavy-set woman with blonde hair wearing black yoga pants and a purple shirt at the time of the incident, and a light-skinned Hispanic male with facial hair wearing a white T-shirt with a sweatshirt wrapped around his hand may have been armed. Police say the man described wearing military-style clothing does not appear to be involved in the incident. Investigators believe the suspects got away in a 2010 to 2013 gold or similar colored four-door Chevy Impala with an Illinois temporary registration. Cherry Valley Police patrol officers responded to the northwest side of CherryVale Mall around 5:15 on Friday for a shots fired call. When officers arrived, they determined shots had been fired and that the mall had been hit several times. Police initially reported that no one was thought to be injured. However, the sheriff's office says a shell casing with what is believed to be blood evidence was recovered near the scene. At this point, no arrests, Riley. Anyone with information is asked to call Cherry Valley Police at 815-332-3431 or Crime Stoppers at 815-963-7867. Now, as you mentioned, the response was virtually immediate. Cherry Valley responded. Winnebago County Sheriff's Police responded. Rockford Police responded. I believe there were as many as 50 officers. The mall was placed on lockdown. The shoppers and store employees at the various establishments were kept inside while police went store to store looking for suspects. And it was a frightening situation.
Oh, absolutely. And kudos to law enforcement once again for descending on the scene en masse and handling it. I'm sure the lockdown was an inconvenience to many, but at the same time, it was something that had to be done and had to be executed right, and they did.
And obviously, err on the side of caution. And I do know that later this week, the law enforcement agencies that were involved in this incident are going to get together and review what went right and how this situation could be better handled in the future. Sheriff Caruana had a press conference yesterday afternoon, Riley, and the question about the incident at the CherryVale Mall did come up. And he did say law enforcement is continually in the process of evaluating how it responds to situations like these. And you can bet that that there will be a frank discussion later this week as to how the situation was handled.
Well, and that's how you get better. That's how you improve things. And I think they're approaching it absolutely the right way. Nobody sits on their laurels and went, bang up job. Okay. And plus, these sorts of events are not cookie cutter.
No.
There's no template that you lay down for, well, okay, they all lay out exactly like this. There's always differences inside, outside, amount of people involved and all that. I think law enforcement did a fine job in when you looked at the reaction on social media, it was like a game of telephone at one point. Well, I heard, I saw, there's, at one point somebody had tweeted out that, there was massive gunfire going off inside the mall.
Not true.
Not true at all. And you had other responsible people who knew jumping on right away going, that is absolutely not true. But things have a way of just going like wildfire.
Exactly right. Sheriff Caruana, I know, briefed the media that night, as did the chief of police in Cherry Valley, Chief Neville. And it is important for the law enforcement officials to get the word out to the media. Here's what we know to be true.
Right.
Here's what we can tell you right now. And the situation is now safe. Everybody is safe, and this is still under investigation. But it's just another indication, Riley, of today's world. It's just so unfortunate that we have knuckleheads with guns shooting at each other, putting innocent shoppers and store employees in harm's way.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you're in a parking lot full of people, stray rounds flying around. It's a bad scenario no matter how you look at it. Hopefully law enforcement or somebody out there will give a tip to law enforcement to get this figured out on who did it.
Right. On Saturday, Riley, the Winnebago County Sheriff's Office responded to a man who was shot to death inside his home on Whale Avenue in the southeast part of Rockford, south of Sandy Hollow Road, east of 20th Street. The man who was shot and killed is identified as 53-year-old Manuel Sosa. An autopsy was performed by the coroner's office yesterday. The autopsy confirmed that Manuel Sosa died from a gunshot wound. Deputy Coroner Bill Hintz did not reveal how many times Mr. Sosa was shot or where on the body he was shot. The shooting is the third homicide to be investigated this year by the Winnebago County Sheriff's Department. Rockford Police have recorded 20 homicides this year. If you have any information concerning the fatal shooting of Manuel Sosa, give us a call at Crime Stoppers 815-963-7867, or you can call the Winnebago County Sheriff's Office at 815-319-6300. I mentioned earlier that Sheriff Caruana held a press conference yesterday afternoon. The Sheriff's Office, in conjunction with the Rockford Police Department, Loves Park Police, Illinois State Police, South Beloit, Village of Winnebago, and Rockford Park District Police conducted criminal saturation details on Friday, September 30th, and Saturday, October 1st. The details generated the following results, Riley. 104 cars stopped, 83 written warnings issued, 30 citations issued, 11 people were arrested, 2 vehicles fled the scene, 10 warrants were served, 1 vehicle was seized. Police did recover a half gram of cocaine, 25 grams of cannabis, and 3 firearms. And the sheriff held a news conference yesterday, and the question came up about these the effectiveness of these details. And the sheriff and the partners with Winnebago County Sheriff's Office are convinced that a heightened police presence in so-called hotspots, areas in the area of Rockford and outlying areas of Winnebago County where there has been high criminal activity, that a heightened police presence will help deter criminal activity from occurring. And at times it's hard to prove that these details are working, because sometimes when crimes are not committed, that's hard to prove. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's really quiet around here. That's because we're doing this. Well, how do you know it's really quiet?
Exactly
right. You're trying to prove a negative.
But I do think, and this is just me as a citizen talking, when it makes sense if you have a high presence of police cars or a helicopter hovering overhead.
Right.
Chances are the gangbangers are going to go elsewhere. They're not going to do their criminal activity.
No, it's a little too warm in that particular area.
Exactly right.
Yeah, it's like a stacking up chaperones at a school dance. How much?
Great analogy.
Yeah, how much are you really going to try when everybody's got a parent standing 4 feet behind them?
On Crime Stoppers this week, we are revisiting a cold case. This dates back to January of this year, Riley. 35-year-old Teresa Wiley was shot to death during a home invasion on January 30th at 1305 Carbaugh. A second individual, a friend of Teresa Wiley's, 30-year-old Crystal Scott, was also shot, but she has since recovered from her wounds. To this day, 10 months later, no arrests in this incident. Anyone with information concerning the home invasion and homicide is urged to call the Winnebago County Sheriff's Police, 815-319-6300, or please call Crime Stoppers, 815-963-7867. When you call Crime Stoppers, you do call anonymously, unless you want to volunteer your name. We do not have caller ID. We never ask for your name unless you want to give it to us. And in this case, when it involves a homicide, our rewards are up to $1,000 for information leading to the arrest of the person or persons responsible for this homicide.
Yeah, if you can help, it's your community. Pick up the phone, give them a call, and give them the information you have. A lot of people, I remember Rich Gambini and I talking about this. There are people who don't claim that reward.
Yes.
They're calling because they want to make things better. Now, I'm not saying you're a bad person for claiming it. Claim it. That's what it's there for.
Right.
But you've got a lot of people who call in with information. Money is not what's driving them.
It's funny that you should bring that up, Riley, because just in the last week or so, I've talked to 3 or 4 people who have called with information saying, hey, look, I'm not interested in a reward. I don't need a reward, but I want you to do what you can to alert the police, to investigate what I believe is a drug house, or to track this person down. And that's gratifying.
Absolutely. And kudos to those of you out there doing it. 963-7867, 888-769-STOP, or rockfordcrimestoppers.com.
You are good.
You take a day off, man. I'm right there for you. Ken, good to see you.
Riley, thanks for your time.